Hey, what's up everybody? Rob Marzullo here, Ram Studio Comics. Welcome back. In today's video, I want to show you how to edit your digital painting inside of Photoshop here. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've got a painting that's pretty much done. I still got some things that I should have fixed. The hair looks really flat and, eyebrows are funky, whatever. So when I go to, adjust something, I figured a good topic to cover here would be to show you how you can edit your work as you're moving through a painting like this. I've got this one already intentionally flattened down. I'll double click here, hit OK. That'll make it, easier to edit and not a background layer. Now what I would generally do, let me just hit Command J and make a copy here. Just so we can kind of check our work. One of the ways I like to do it is I'll adjust something and then I'll toggle on and off this visibility here and I can see if the changes were, good or bad or whatever. So one of the neat things in Photoshop, or lots of neat things to edit your work, I'll start with this one. Say I wanted to adjust the mouth and make it smaller. Like it's a little bit wide, not too much, but generally the mouth will line up to the pupils. So it's a little bit close. I think I just have her eyes a little bit. They're about right. I don't know. We'll just adjust it just for the sake of adjusting it. How about that? So one of the ways to do it, say you wanted to just edit the mouth, is you could select around the mouth like this. You can hit Q for quick mask, go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Now the reason why I'm doing this, I'm softening up the quick mask. You can also do this with any of your airbrush or hard edge tools, any of your tools that you want to use with black and white. So here's your mask, and you're basically painting positive and negative with whatever brush, with whatever effect. So what this does, now I have a soft selection around the mouth. I can hit Q again. I can now hit Command C, Command Shift V, and it just pasted it right back into place over top of the existing painting. So you can't see any difference now. But now I have all the options to edit this. I can just hit Command T and I can, scale it, give her some funky wide mouth there. Hit Escape if I don't want that. I can hit Edit, Transform, Distort, or Perspective, or whatever I want to do. One that I like to do is Edit, Transform, Warp, and you can just basically pull the mouth around or whatever you're working with a lot more details. So say I want to have her doing kind of a smirk up to one side or even both sides. You can see I got a lot of ability. If you pull on the inside, you're going to move kind of the closest point to whatever you're grabbing inside. The handles are going to pull more of the edge work. And you can actually get really good with this process right here and manipulate quite a bit. So we'll say that we just want a little bit more. I think this side's too far out. Let's go right about here. Hit enter, and then we'll check the work. And if you notice, because I did that soft edge, you can't even tell really. I'll zoom in so we can check. You can't even really tell where the edge is. Now, if I would have just selected that and maneuvered, I would have to do all this additional blending and stuff like that. So now we check the work. Yeah, it's got just a little bit more of a smirk. And once you're happy with that, you hit Command E. It just helps, and that merges it down so that you don't get too layer intensive as you're making these changes. Okay, another thing, because this is something I'd want to fix, that I kind of rushed through the end of this painting and I didn't clean up her chin line right there. So I'll show you a way to do that. So we could obviously do what we just did and create a selection that way by drawing our selection. You can also use, something like the pen and path tool where you just kind of click and pull, click and pull, click and pull, hold Command, move that around. I've got videos on just the pen and path tool as well. It's a very powerful tool. You click Command to edit just one point at a time. So I basically have my finger on the Command button, and I'll click it from time to time to edit just one point. Click here, move it into place. So this just depends on whether or not you like using these Beziers to kind of define your selection. You do have to get a little bit confident with this tool, but it can be very helpful. It can be extremely helpful if you don't have a tablet, which, this is all done with a tablet, obviously, but just in case, So now what you can do is just kind of continue this process. We'll go to, we'll go across here and then click and pull. You can actually, in the Bezier, in the curve, and adjust the curve at the same time. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so there's our our shape. And I don't know that it's perfect, but we'll be able to adjust even further after I do this. So now what this allows us to do is create a selection, a fill. We just want a selection, so I'll right click, make selection, hit OK. Make sure you don't have any feathering or anti-aliasing, or just you want a basic selection. Okay, so now what we can do, a couple ways we could do this. I'm actually going to invert the selection, I believe. You know, I guess it doesn't matter, but what I'll do is I'll go ahead and hit Command-C, Command-Shift-V again, and now I've pasted just the chin piece over top. But what it's done, it's allowed me to do a couple things. I can grab this lower layer right here, and I can now smudge or adjust things upward, and see how it just disappears behind that layer. So I basically created a mask with the artwork. So I can do that. I can fix this funky neck shadowing, and all I'm using here is my my Mr. Smudgy brush, which I really like. Keep in mind, shameless plug time, I'm getting ready to release a full paint set for Photoshop. It's got a mix of everything, different brushes I use to paint, blenders, texture stippling brushes, some effect brushes. So yeah, there'll be a video just on that, so get ready. Got to do it. Sorry, folks. All right, so, or hopefully I don't have to be sorry. You'll enjoy the brushes and be thankful I did it. Okay, so if you see, I was able to clean up that neckline pretty quickly, and I can also grab the other one, lock transparency, because now it's just, if I didn't, it's going to blend right into that part I just cleaned up. And I can pull down just really softly, because I don't want to create these unnecessary artifacts if I don't have to. I mean, I can go back and clean it up, but I'm just trying to clean up that edge. And so now I've been able to add a crisp edge to that area that was pretty you know, grotesque right there, or whatever, not right. And you can repeat that process all throughout your painting. So you basically turn elements of your painting into a mask for other elements of your painting. And then once you're comfortable with it, you could just merge down. I can also blur this edge as a separate piece, but it'll actually give me a weird blur line up here. So we've got to remember that it's just floating over top of there. And you'll see it looks pretty bad when I take it away. So I'll hit Command-E, merge that down to the painting, and pull back. And you know, I still got that funky little white mark right there I got to clean up. And then also it would probably help to do just a little bit of a blur just to that very edge, just to soften it up. You know, you don't want too crisp of edge. Like you can see over here, I've got too crisp of an edge. So that's where you just come in with, you know, one of your blending brushes. I've got this smooth blender here. Turn it real low probably. Just try this out. That's maybe too low, but I just want to soften up those edges. You know, and you can do this a number of ways. You can select areas of the painting and just do a Gaussian blur. One way that is kind of neat that I'll do at the end of the painting, I guess I just forgot on this one, is I'll actually blur the entire painting over top of itself, and then I'll soft erase areas that I don't want to be blurred. So that's a good way to quickly add blurs in just specific areas. And then another way is like what you see me doing here, where I'm just softly trying to, if you notice, I got the brush just big enough where it's on the very edge of it, and I'm just trying to soften up that hard edge line a little bit. Okay, so that's another edit, but really I want to show you more ways that you would edit your work as far as you know, just changing things and moving in a forward direction. Like, say for instance, the nose shape is kind of awkward. One that you can do is just select the area like this, filter, liquify, and this is really helpful when you've got everything merged down and you just want to make movements to your piece. And you basically just, you know, say I want the nose a little bit more downturned right there, bring the nostrils up just a little bit. Maybe bring these in and see how it's moving the color and everything, the color information all together. So it's really helpful. You can really save time with liquify for digital painting and a lot of things, but I find it extremely helpful for digital painting. And you can really get in here and do some detail work. There's really lots of opportunities to, you know, you can almost paint with this thing, but it's more of, I use it more just for adjustments. So hit OK. I'd like to pan back to see if that think I like that actually. And sometimes you're not gonna. You know, I think I went a little too far with it. That's a tough call actually. All right, let me just leave it for the sake of leaving it. Okay. So now, what else can I show you how to edit your work? Because this I think is important to know, because when you get into these digital paintings, it's real easy to stop and go, oh, I don't know if this painting's working out. I'm gonna scrap it and start over. And that's really not necessary. In digital painting, I think you should always move forward. It's just my personal take on it, so take it as you will. But I just think that there's so many ways to edit your work that you should just keep pressing forward. Okay, so another way to edit your work, and this probably goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways, is when you add a layer and add certain effects in just with the layer, and then again merge down. So let's try it with the eyes here. Like I'm noticing, you know, the eye just doesn't have enough of a shadow coming down over top. So let me grab, let's just try a soft brush. I call it the very soft brush. And I'll grab this gray that you see right here. And I'm just going to paint it in kind of messily, haphazardly, just to get it in there. I want more of a shadow across the eye, right across the top here. Something like that. And if you notice, I'm going right over top. So I'll basically I'll do it almost like across the whole thing. And the reason why it's sometimes helpful to do it like this is because you're more focused on just getting it clean all the way across. It's on a separate layer, so you got the ability to erase it. You also have the ability to control your blending modes. So just always play with these just to see what they do. You know, you got multiply, which works well. Screen's going to lighten it, I believe. Yeah, that's going to give it more of a highlight. You need to just get in here and play with these, because there's just a lot of cool effects that, you know, you won't know until you try them with a variety of painting effects. So I think I like multiply. Let me try it. And remember, we also got the opacity. So if I pan back, you know, and you can't see what I'm doing, I'm actually putting my hand over one side of the face and the other. You could just mask it out or move it over. But I think that it adds a little bit more of a dynamic. I think it's a little bit too heavy. So I would just tone the opacity back a little bit. You know, and I'm all about subtle increment changes to the work, you know, just little bits in here and there to try to refine it. And I guess as you get more confident with your work, maybe those increments get larger, but I do small changes to the work. So I think that works out, you know. Let me see if, and I think what I just need to do is blend some of that artifact that I got right there. But I think that overall it has a little bit more of a depth than this eye does. And I probably, let me see, I probably want to even apply it to more of the white areas, and then I'll come back and just do a little bit of a punched up light source on there. Remember, you can hit Command Alt Z to go back multiple times in Photoshop. Okay, so now I'm going to hold Alt. I'm going to edit, transform, flip horizontal. No sense in doing this twice if I don't have to. Command E to merge those together. What I'll do first is toggle this on and off, and I could see how it goes over parts of the eye. So if I don't want that, this is my time to take an erase and get it, you know, say I don't want it right there, which I don't think it hurts that area, but we'll just take it out of there for now. It's also an opportunity to apply it anywhere else that I see fit. You know, if I want to add a little bit more shadow into the inner part of the eye right there, I can even add a little bit down here. Just you know, I always like to experiment as I'm applying an effect, just to see if there's anything else I can improve as I'm doing it. So yeah, I think that adds a little bit more depth. Yeah. So then Command E to merge that down. Alright, so now using that same concept, I want to show you one more effect. So I'll add a layer. I'll get into the under part of the nose here, and maybe I just want to add a little bit more of a crisp line shadow to this area. So I'll maybe select the nostril color here. I'm going to use a hard brush this time. I use a soft hard round right there. And I'm just going to paint in, I'm actually going to paint in pretty solid. I'll show you why. So right now I'm more focused on just the shape of it, not so much the intensity or clarity of the shadow itself. So I'll just kind of fill this in and show you what I'm talking about. It can be helpful at times to paint in this way where you're just looking at the shape. Well, it looks pretty gross at this stage. And now I'll tone the opacity back so I can see what I'm doing. And I just want to clean up this line, go around the nose like this. I'm scaling the brush down as I get to the very edges. This one doesn't have shape dynamics, which I like that for painting. There's only a few brushes that I actually use with shape dynamics, and it's really only in the beginning stage of the painting pretty much. Or, you know, some texture brushes because you can control the size of the texture with the shape dynamics. Okay, so say this is what I'm after for the shadow, and I don't know that it is, but we'll say this is about right. Let's say right about there. Okay, still pretty heavy, but I want to do that intentionally to illustrate what I'm doing. So essentially there's going to be parts of your painting where you want to have hard edge shadows, and that's probably one of the reasons this painting doesn't really sing. You know, it's not really that great of a shot. It's okay, but it doesn't have enough hard edge shadows, and then I did the hair too stiff, so there's some flaws in there, but things like this really help it along. So what you can do now is, by applying this effect with the layer, you can tone back the opacity and get it just as subtle as you want, or as impactful as you want, whatever. And then also it gives you the option to, you know, you don't want this hard edge line going right across, but you probably want some of the area to stay hard edge and some to be soft. You can either blend it with that soft blender I showed you, or you can set your erase to the soft airbrush here. You know, again, just to give us another level of editing our work, I'll hit, oh, not that one, Command J, and I'll turn one of these off, just so I can kind of play with this and see if I get the right effect. So I'm just going to soft erase a little bit of it. See right here. I guess what I'll do is I'll soft erase the sides more, and I'll leave this edge to the front of the nose a little more solid, maybe to hopefully add a tiny bit more depth in the effect that I'm going for. And then I'll just soft erase one of the sides there. Just because to me it looks more realistic that, you know, shadows would not be, you know, one solid line all the way around. If not, you get a little bit more of a kind of a comic book cell shading effect. And then you just repeat this process again. Since I've already got the layer set, maybe I want to add a little bit more shadow under the lip here. And what brush am I still on? Yeah, hard round, okay? And I could just repeat this process throughout the painting. I could first paint it in solid, then soft erase it back. So just another way to edit your light source and your shadows as you're progressing through your work. And just keeping in mind as well that you could just affect all of this with your blending modes and provide another type of effect if you need, if you need to. Let's pan back, see if this added a little bit more depth to the face. Yeah, a little bit more area of interest, and again, just subtle. Okay, so let me go ahead and merge this one down. Command E to do so. I'll delete this layer like that. I'll pull it back a little bit. I'll check the work and see our changes. Yeah, I think we were able to, liven up her face a little bit, give it a little bit more realism. Now, the other thing is, you can get into all the texturing and stuff like that. Again, you can do that by just adding a layer. Grab one of these texture brushes like, let's see. I always give them weird names. Is it Mr. Stipples or Magic Sparkles? I don't know. Yeah, we could give her sparkles. Let's try that. Sparkles. Oh, they wouldn't look like sparkles if they were dark like that. There we go. Sparkles. Oh, she's sparkly. Alright, anyways. I'm sorry. I had to create sparkles. I don't know what I was thinking. Okay, so dirt brush. This one's, let's dirty her up a bit. This is a dirt brush, but actually it works good for a skin tone as well. I just run out of names, and I got to name them because it allows me to find them more quickly when I'm searching through all my brushes. So yeah, if you notice there, just by adding that little bit of texture, it's subtle again, but and I recommend for skin textures to actually overlay a few of them. So you would do like some dark, some light, some varying size. So you scale the brush as you're going. And the way I do it, I don't know if it's the right way, but I just select the light source and I blend into the dark, and then vice versa. I'll select the dark right here, add another layer, and I'll blend back the other way. Again, it's got to be real subtle, and I do it on a different layer so that I can soft erase some of the areas back. So you can see a little bit over there, and I don't get too heavy into that, but you can, and it does have add a lot more realism to your painting. So that's another thing you can do there. Merge those down. And all right, lastly, I guess what I'll show you, well, first I'll show you how you could fix this funky hair right there. Now this one I would just leave probably over the background, and I would just grab a smudge brush. But the thing to keep in mind is that any of these brushes will work with any of the soft erase, the painting, the smudging. So you can grab a smudge brush and you can go to, say, where's one of my hair brushes here? I got a couple in this set. Where are you? Probably passing over it. Oh, hairbrush right here. So you got hairbrush A and B. I'll grab B. I think this is the more rigid one. And all I will generally do on something like this is I'll smudge the very edge. I'll turn it all the way up on something like this. And I can just make it look like the strands of hair are just slightly coming off the shape. And I basically just forgot to do that because I would never leave just this rounded shape for the hair. So it's good to remember when you're working through your paintings to, finish off your edges. The other thing is that always remember that with digital painting, one of the neat things about it is you can always go back and edit your work and make your portfolio better. So I think it's really a good idea to revisit your old works, be it a year or two old or whatever, and see how you can improve it. See, it'll tell you how much you've improved as an artist and what, things that you're now seeing that you weren't seeing at the time that you created that piece and, thought it was the most amazing thing ever. All right, so just a little bit of this. I probably size this brush up. Doesn't look like it's working really well. Yeah, like right here, it's really bad. And I guess I need to go with the strands of the hair more. I might just have to soft erase this one because that's actually not looking as good as I hoped. But still better than just a flat edge. That, I don't know what I was thinking there. It's horrible. Horrible. Okay, so yeah, just a little bit of that, a little bit this way. And again, just play with it. Blur some of these areas of the hair out. It shouldn't all be, it's almost like every strand is in focus or something. You don't want that. So let me size this up even more. And when in doubt, if this is taking too long, you can just grab the same brush and paint it back and forth. That's probably a bit quicker. Now the last thing I'll show you that'll kind of fix this problem anyways is what I was mentioning about the blurring. So I'll create a copy of this. I'll go Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And I don't want it quite that blurry. Maybe something right about there. Well, I got to check the edges, so get in there and see. Yeah, I think that's better. It definitely takes your eye off the funky hairline that we had. So now the beauty of doing something like this is that now by soft erasing this top layer, you're basically just bringing areas of it back into focus. So I'll take the soft airbrush. I definitely want a lot of the areas in the face to be in focus. So this is a neat way to also control where the viewer is looking on your paintings. So just keep it in mind, like I can leave the eyebrows faded more because they needed to be softened up a bit as well. And you could just really direct what areas are, in focus and turn where the viewer might look. So I want some good focus on the eyes, front of the nose. And you could almost just go from the forward facing or the most the parts that are closest to camera and work your way back. So we'll try that. And maybe I want to see a little bit of the texture where the highlight is right there. So I do like how it's softened up that line there. I don't know that I like the ears being entirely soft, so I'll erase some of that. But actually, I think I just didn't define those as well in the painting, so maybe that makes sense. And I'll do a little bit more definition here on the neck. And, you know, I gotta have my signature in focus. Sorry, folks. All about the signature. I mean, come on. No one's gonna know I painted if they can't see my signature. Okay, and then, you know, and I can get in here and do a little bit more of that stippling in the neck, just for some texture so the neck looks more real. So yeah, that's, you know, that's basically how I would do it. And then, you know, if you want to see more of this texture in the background, but I think that I would keep the focus right on the center of the face like that. And really just using those same tools that I just showed you in conjunction with one another, and try them with your own style, vary them up a bit. And that's how you edit your paint work and keep moving forward. So hopefully this has been helpful for you and beneficial. If it has, be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Helps me progress the channel, which I'm extremely grateful for. And then we're coming up to the 30,000 subscriber mark, so I'll be doing a thank you video for that. Be sure to drop in some comments in the section below. Let me know what you'd like to see for that. And as always, you could check out my Gumroad for my brushes and things like that. Help support the work and the stuff that I do that way as well. And I do have some free brushes there, so check those out too. So thanks very much for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Keep drawing, keep having fun, and bye for now.